Hello, and welcome to this orientation to competing in Ninja, especially in the Chicagoland area. My name is Steve Bakhta. I'm a ninja, also a ninja parent, and just someone that found this kind of confusing when I first got into it, and so I'm hoping that this will make it less confusing for you. Um, there are three major leagues that I'll discuss. Those are World Ninja League, UNAA, and FINA. And then at the bottom, you'll also see there's all these other kind of opportunities or leagues that I'll mention as well. But let's just jump right into it because I know you're busy, and so am I. So for World Ninja League, in general, the ninja season starts in the fall, so upcoming like in October, and runs pretty much all the way to June or July, depending on the league that you choose. Summer is usually like the down season. There are a couple summer fun comps, but they don't really affect the leagues per se. So the league you'll probably hear the most about around here is World Ninja League, just because we have many gyms who will host World Ninja League events. And it's kind of just been the most popular in the past, although UNAA and FINA will start to be more popular around here because now we have another gym that will be hosting those. So that's great. So you have options. And so you'll start to hear, usually through your elite team or through your gym, you'll start to hear about upcoming World Ninja League competitions. On average, we have about 3 to 5 local qualifiers per season around here. That's much less than, for example, in the Northeast. They probably have a competition every weekend. And then if you look out west, then they might have like one in their state. So we're kind of in the middle where we have, it's actually a really nice to be in the middle. I personally don't want to be doing a ninja competition every weekend. And if you have the opportunity to do so, what happens is then kids want to do every single one, and then it gets kind of hard to rack up points because points do matter in some ways in the World Ninja League series. But basically, to start, you would just sign up for whatever competition kind of works with your schedule. And again, in the next couple months, we're going to kind of get a sense of how many we'll have in our area and when those are going to be. And so you can mark your calendars, and I'll show you where to look for those later in this PowerPoint. And so you can see where the schedule is. Right now, there's nothing on the schedule because they have to be the days have to be approved through the World Ninja League, and so our gyms are going through that process. But I would expect in the next few months that we'll know some of our dates. So anyway, you'll do a competition, or you or your child, and then see how you do, and then I'll go through the rules on how to qualify. But if you wind up qualifying for regionals are usually in May for World Ninja League, and in the past they've been in Minnesota. There's always a chance that one of our gyms here locally in Chicago gets to host it, but usually it's a Minnesota gym, so it's a road trip, usually an overnight trip. I went 2 years ago, and it was super fun. Last year I did the UNAA league, so I didn't do World Ninja League, but our team had a blast at that regional trip. So it's a really fun road trip, something to plan for, and it's a good time. We usually find out where regionals will be about halfway through the season, and I would say most kids, if you do every WNL competition during the regular season, so if you do all 5, you have a pretty good chance of eventually qualifying for regionals. Then regionals is a single competition, so you go out and go to that comp, and then depending on your division, and I'll kind of get into this, but the World Ninja League likes a lot of kids to qualify for Worlds. So most kids who compete at regionals will be able to go to Worlds, but not all, but many will, and I'll go over those rules later. And then Worlds is usually in June. We're guessing on the weekend right now, but it's usually like that third weekend in June, which is the 20th to 22nd. That will also be confirmed hopefully within the next few months of the exact weekend for that. and it usually is in Greensboro, North Carolina. That's where they've held the event the past 4 years or so. Um, and it's usually, yeah, over like a course of 3 or 4 days. And again, that's a huge event, lots of ninjas, and uh, I'd highly recommend at least going once. It's super fun if you're able to qualify, and it's a great experience. So that is kind of the gamut of World Ninja League. A couple new things or newish things. One is new this year, and that's if you do well during the first few competitions of the regular season. Um, Before February, where they're going to have an all-star competition in the middle of the season. So if you qualified for regionals before the all-star competition date, then you will be invited to compete at the all-star competition. And I don't know where that's going to be for our region, but it sounds pretty cool. And so that's just going to be an extra opportunity. And then I have never done this yet, but there is a summer league called Premier Series. I tend to like to take a break in the summer and watch Ninja Warrior on TV and just relax. And same thing for my kids. I try to just tone it down just because otherwise you're doing ninja all year long. But some families want to do ninja every month of the year, and so Premier Series is an opportunity to do that, where you can go. Our closest one lately has been in St. Louis. So there's a competition in St. Louis, and then if you do well at that Premier Series competition, then you are invited to the Premier Series finals, which I think is usually like in New York or somewhere. And it's just another opportunity to compete. Premier Series generally are people who have qualified for Worlds, usually get invited to do Premier Series. So you can just make that a part of your schedule if you want to do Ninja all year long. World Ninja League was happy to supply you with opportunities to do Ninja all year long. So that's World Ninja League. So that's probably the one you hear about a lot at our Ultimate Ninjas locations. Another league, and I'm going to talk about them together just because their worlds is combined. So there's UNAA and FINA. So those are two separate leagues, and you have to, if you want to compete in both of their world championships, then you have to do both leagues during the regular season. So there are different there's UNAA qualifiers and there's FINA qualifiers, but their world championships are held in the same location at the same time of year on the same weekend. They're two different world championships, but they're in the same place. So that's kind of like nice that you get to do two different leagues in the same place for the world championship. So UNAA, similarly, all these leagues kind of start in October and run. Their world championships are in July, and this year they're in Dallas, Texas, and their weekend is set. It's July 10th to 13th. And same thing with FINA. Those competitions will start in the fall and then run all the way till July. For UNAA, they do have a regional, so you'll do your qualifier, and then if you do well enough to qualify, you'll go to the regional. Regionals for UNAA, last year we did have one in Illinois, and there was another one in Wisconsin, so not too far. That was just, you could just drive for the day, and it was not an overnight trip. For FINA, we were lucky to have our qualifiers and sectionals all in Illinois, which was great. And then last year, UNAA and FINA Worlds was in Anaheim, California. This year, it's in Dallas, Texas. UNAA and FINA tend to move each year, whereas World Ninja League or WNL tends to stay in North Carolina for their Worlds. Now, before I launch into all the rules and how each league runs, I do want to mention these things at the bottom. So let's just start on the left. So on the left-hand bottom box, left-hand corner bottom, I just put 3 other opportunities that are out there, and you might hear about these things. Ninja Sport Network is a professional ninja league. So I mentioned this one only because I think it's a great thing to watch with your kids. They'll have events throughout the late fall, winter, and their championship is like in the late winter or spring usually. and it's just really high level ninja competition, actually even higher than American Ninja Warrior, the TV show. And all of their stuff is on YouTube, so it's free and easy to watch, and just excellent ninja and an excellent format. They do have a youth championship. It actually just occurred this last weekend, and I suspect they will continue to have further youth championships for ages 10 and 11 is one bracket, and then 12 and 13 is the other bracket. So keep your eyes peeled. If you watch their regular season, they'll obviously start advertising for the youth championship as it gets into the late spring and summer. So keep your eyes peeled for that if that's something that you're interested in. But again, that's very high level ninja. I wouldn't recommend that for kids who are just starting out, but if your child's been competing for 2 or 3 years, then you might think about signing up for that. The next one is the elite team competition. So this is a really excellent opportunity for your first competition ever, because it's low stress, it doesn't affect anything with the other leagues, and it's all within the Ultimate Ninjas community. So usually what occurs is we'll invite all the gyms to one location, and then we will have a older kid course and a younger kid course, and then basically we'll give you a time to come. You'll run the course with your teammates there cheering you on, and there's two kids running at the same time, so it's a little bit less pressure on each individual child, just so the eyes aren't all on them. And then your score is actually part of a cumulative score, so it doesn't no individual gets medals or anything, but one team at the end is announced the winning team, and so you're kind of it's a little different in that you're competing as a team, which is atypical for ninja. In ninja, usually you're competing as an individual, but in this setting, you're competing as a team. So again, a little less pressure, and either you win as a team or you lose as a team. So it's kind of a good bonding experience and just really fun. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I have heard that we're thinking of doing that in the late fall, early winter, and so that is an excellent opportunity, and I highly recommend you do that, especially if you're a newer competitor. Ninja versus Ninja. So one of our gyms in Chicago, Big Time Ninja, has been doing a lot of these events. I think they had 2 or 3 last year. And this is if you enjoy racing as a ninja. I personally, it's not my forte, but some people really enjoy the racing format and speed and going head to head with somebody else. So they will have probably a couple of these events throughout the year. And the other thing you'll see is World Ninja League and FINA have kind of seen that American Ninja Warrior started racing on their TV show, and you may have heard that the Olympics is thinking about having ninja as part of the Olympics, and so that is also going to be a racing format. So the leagues are learning that this is important or something people are interested in, and so World Ninja League actually has a whole racing branch of their league. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of that out here in Chicago, but there will be opportunities in the Northeast where there's many more competitions for kids to do racing as part of WNL. And then I think FINA, when I get into the rules for this year, at the end of at their worlds, FINA often has a racing component as well. So all that is to say that these ninja versus ninja competitions are fun, and then they're a good way to prepare for, like, if you were going to go to FINA Worlds, it's a good way to prepare for that racing format. Okay, now getting out of that left lower hand box, I have 3 things listed here, and I left these out of the box because these are actually things you can do, at least in the past. You could do these things at UNAA FINA Worlds also. So in addition to doing both of those World Championships, you could do 3 more things. So it's a ton of ninja if you want to. And I did 3 of the 5 things this past season, and that was plenty for me. But if you want to do all 5, there are certainly people that do all 5. So WNAG, or the World Ninja Athlete Games. That is, the way I understand it is, um, some people are frustrated that every time you go to a ninja competition, things are different, and so they wanted some kind of standardization, some kind of, one set of things that is the same for everybody, so we could decide who is actually the best at these things. And so what they do is they reach out to gyms across the country, and on a one specific weekend, usually in spring, like in March, every gym will have a weekend where you find a gym that's hosting a WNAG, and you go there for their qualifier, and you run this course, and it's a very standardized course. Every gym in the country will have this exact same course with the exact same distance between monkey bars and the exact same holds for their grip line, and you will run that course, and if you do well enough, then you will qualify for the WNAG World Championship, which will usually be held at the UNAA FINA Worlds. So that will be another thing you can do. For WNAG, you do have to qualify for it in the spring at wherever your local site is, and then you can then do it at the World Championships along with UNAA and FINA. The UNAA Ultimate OCR, or Obstacle Course Racing, is another thing in the past that has been available at UNAA FINA Worlds. So if you like obstacle course racing, this is more similar to like a Spartan race. It's indoors, but they set up a whole obstacle course, and then you just do kind of laps or run outside and then come in and do the obstacles. I've never done it, so I don't want to speak to it, but it is something you'll see advertised if you decide to do the UNAA FINA Worlds, and so it's just an opportunity, something else you can do while you're out there if you want. And then U.S. Nationals is something I highly recommend. I'm not sure if they're gonna have the joint event again this year, but the way it worked last year was if you qualified for UNAA or FINA Worlds, then you automatically were qualified for USA Nationals, and that is a really big course. It's the same people that build the course for American Ninja Warrior builds the course for USA Nationals, and this is part of the Olympic effort. So this group is hoping to eventually have ninja as its own independent sport in the Olympics, and this is part of kind of getting that qualification for that going, is to have these events so that you can prove that you can be an Olympic sport. And it was just very well run. So if you have the opportunity to do that, I would highly recommend doing it. It's super fun, and it's just a really well run event. And it's built into that weekend. And again, yeah, it's a racing format, but it's really, really fun and a great experience. And then lastly, on this slide, getting into that lower right-hand corner, these are just 2 summer comps that I recommend because they're local and they're super fun. One is our Ninjathon skills competition. So this is actually my competition, so I'm going to promote it. But basically, this year we held it at Big Time Ninja. And what's different about this one is everybody competes at the same time. It's more of an open gym format, and there are just different skills set up where you can earn points. We also invite kids to pick a charity and get donors and kind of raise money for some cause. That's always something I've loved about Ninja, is the advocacy portion of it. And so I really love when kids come with passions that they care about and use their Ninja to make a small difference, or just at least just think about some change they can make in the world, some obstacle in the real world that they care about. And so I love Ninjathon. It's my passion. It's my favorite event of the year. So I hope you consider doing that. And if it's your first event, if it's the only competition you do all year, then it's free, because I wanted there to be an event that you could do for free. If that's the only, some people, these things are expensive, and this is the only chance they get to do something all year. So that's Ninjathon. The other one that's local-ish is the Barn Comp. That's in Dorsey, Illinois, which is about a 5-hour drive. I put it on here though because the guys that do this competition are probably 3 of the best ninjas in the entire world. They're just really high-level ninjas and really great builders. And I have not done the barn comp yet. It's actually this upcoming weekend, but I suspect it's going to be awesome, and I suspect it's only going to grow because they're in their fourth season now, and so I think they'll continue to do it. And again, it's a one-time competition. It's not doesn't affect any of the other leagues. What's different about it is that they do it in a format that's a lot like American Ninja Warrior, where they have 4 stages. So a certain percentage advance from stage 1 to stage 2, then from stage 2 to stage 3, and from stage 3 to stage 4. And so it's kind of more like the TV show, which is kind of cool. There's another competition in Colorado called the Bucket of Chalk. Caden Lebsack, who you may know from the TV show, runs that competition, and so it's a similar format to that. It's just a lot closer, and I think will be equally awesome. So I recommend this competition. Now let's quickly talk about where these competitions happen in our area. So here's a quick map. So World Ninja League, and this is based on past years. I don't know exactly who's going to host this year, but in the past, Ultimate Ninjas Libertyville, Ultimate Ninjas North Shore, Ultimate Ninjas Chicago, and Ultimate Ninjas Naperville are places where you will see World Ninja League competitions, qualifiers held. For UNAA and FINA, Big Time Ninja is in Bolingbrook, so it's a newer gym, and it's awesome. And so if you want to compete there, I highly recommend it. And then also for UNAA, there's an Ultimate Ninjas in Elmhurst who will host UNAA competitions. There are also UNAAs and UNAA competitions in Wisconsin, which is not too far. For WNL, there's also sometimes ones in Indianapolis, although I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. So really, you just have to check the schedule and see where they are. Also, obviously, World Ninja League, there will be some in Minneapolis. That's far, but if you need points, you can always travel up there to try and get some more points. And then there is I wanted to mention in Milwaukee, in Oak Creek, there's a new gym of Ultimate Ninjas, and it's a great gym. I don't know if they're going to have any competitions this year, but I suspect in the future that they will. And again, it's just a really nice place to visit and check out because it's a huge gym and it's really nice. Now let's dig into the rules and how to qualify. So first of all, you have to figure out what category you're in or what age category. So it depends on what your age will be on January 1st of 2025. So however old you are on that day, that determines what age group you compete in. And so I've listed the age groups there. Now around here, for World Ninja League, we generally do flow qualifiers. You'll see that in quotes. So there are different types of courses. Flow means that as soon as you fall, your run is over and you can't score any more points after falling. And so that's very similar to the TV show. You will get to finish the course until your time runs out, but any obstacle you complete after you fall doesn't add to your score or how you did. Some people think this is kind of hard on the athletes, and it is. I've fallen early many times, and so that can be a hard emotional thing to go through as a child. However, I'll say that it's also, you learn how to deal with it over time, and so I think also there are benefits to it as well. And so when you go to a qualifier event, the top 3 competitors who go the farthest, the fastest, that's how you determine the top 3. So farthest through the course, the fastest. Those 3 competitors will qualify for the regional. Now, if one of those top 3 people has already qualified for regional, so say it's the second or third competition of the year, and one of those top 3 people already qualified, then the 4th person would qualify for regionals. So that means it's bumping down to the next person. And similarly, if we get to the end of the year and 11 people have qualified and you're the 12th person, then you qualify for regionals because everybody else is already qualified. So you kind of have to keep track, and they actually have a very nice website so you can see who's qualified and who hasn't, and so you can kind of see your chances of qualifying based on who's already qualified. Now at regionals, last year this was in Minnesota, and I think this is the format that they're moving towards. When you go to regionals, you will get 2 course runs. There will be 1 flow run, which means that on that course, if you fall, then your run's over. And there will also be 1 challenge run. And on a challenge course, if you fall, you get to retry the obstacle. And so then if you get it the second time, then you can keep going in the course. So it gives you, it's a retry system, a little bit more forgiving. And so the way regionals works, that the top 16 competitors or the top 35% of all the athletes who competed in your region in that age group that whole season, whichever is greater, up to a max of 40 athletes. So either 40 is the maximum number of kids from a, well, I'll take that back. So yeah, that's true. So 40 athletes from an age division is the maximum amount that can be qualified for regionals. But that doesn't, we don't always take a 40. It depends on how many athletes competed in your region in that age group. So if you're in the, let's do an example. If you're in the 9 and 10 boys age group, let's say, and over the course of the season, 100 boys did qualifiers, then they will take the top 35%, which is 35 athletes. Okay? So if 36 people come to compete, they'll take 35 athletes, but they cannot take that 36th athlete to Worlds. But that's still a lot of kids that get to qualify for Worlds. So most kids who go to regionals qualify for Worlds, but not all, because there are, and I bolded, mature kids and preteens. Those are larger groups, and a lot of kids come to regionals, and not all of them are able to go to Worlds, unfortunately. Okay, now you've made it to Worlds, and you're going to go to this big event. Here's how the scoring works. So everybody gets to do both the discipline circuit, which is a speed run, a tech run, and an endurance run, and you also get to do stage 1 of a stage 1 course. To advance from the stage 1 course to stage 2 course, you have to finish in the top 60% of the athletes that run the stage 1 course. And again, this is a flow format, so as soon as you fall, your run is over. Even if there's more than, so any buzzer will also automatically go to stage 2. So if they make the course really easy and there's a ton of buzzers, even if it's more than the top 60% of finishers, they will continue to take people if they hit a buzzer, so if they cleared the whole course. For stage 2, they will take the top 70% of those runners and they will advance to stage 3. And then in stage 3, that course is really, really hard, so nobody usually finishes, or maybe 1 or 2 people finish, but the winner's determined by who goes the furthest the fastest. So if you hit a buzzer on stage 3, you're probably going to be on the podium, but not necessarily. So like if 4 people hit buzzers, it'll be whoever hit the 3 that hit the buzzer the fastest that will be on the podium. What's nice about World Ninja League is you have 4 runs guaranteed, right? You do your speed, your tech, your endurance, and your stage 1. A lot of kids from stage 1, like more than a half, will go on to stage 2. And then if you make stage 2, almost 3/4 of those kids will go on to stage 3. So it's not 100% guaranteed, but many kids get, everybody gets 4, a lot of kids get 5, and some kids get 6 runs, and that's a really rich experience, and a really awesome experience, really great obstacles. The other cool thing is all of those scores get combined into one kind of average score competition, which is World's Strongest Ninja. So they give out awards for just who does best on stage 1, who does best on stage 2, who does best on stage 3, who does best on speed, who does best on tech, who does best on endurance. There's medals for all of those specific things, plus there's a medal for who did great on all those things combined, and that person that did the best on all those things combined is world's strongest ninja. So, and in my opinion, that's a really good test of who is the best, because it's so many different disciplines, and it's cool that they're able to combine that and give out an award for that. And I'm mentioning at the bottom there just that, again, this all-star event is new. I have no idea what it's going to look like. It just kind of sounds cool. But if you do a regional, if you do a qualifying event before the all-star event, which is like halfway through the season, and you qualify for regionals, then you get to go to it. So I don't know where it's going to be or what it's going to look like, but it's something new. Moving on to UNAA. So you will see, again, the age cutoff, the date is January 1st, 2025. What's different, and this is important, is the age brackets are different. For WNL, it goes 6 to 8 is one group, then 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14. Whereas here, it's 7 and under, 9 and under, 11 and under, 13 and under. So if your child is going to be 7 in UNAA, they'll be towards the upper edge of their age bracket, whereas if they're in WNL, they will be competing against 8-year-olds. I will say what makes a bigger difference is how long you've been doing ninja, like how many years of experience you have, but clearly at the younger age groups, your body is just not as developed, you're not as coordinated, so that does make a difference. I don't think it's the number one thing that you need to think about when you're deciding a league, but it's just a consideration to think about. And for their rules, so in UNAA, the biggest difference is it is a points-based system. So you can keep earning points after you fall. So just falling once isn't the end of your run. You get to keep going. You can earn more points later. And for some kids, especially younger kids, this is it's just easier to take a fall because it's not the end of the world. So it's easier to process, although even with this, when kids fall, they'll finish their course and then they'll still be a mess because they didn't do it perfectly. So it is better, but maybe still not perfect. It's just a tough sport in general. So again, similarly, the top 3 or the top 50% of each class will advance to regionals. And then this does again bump down if a person is already qualified. It will bump down to the next person who is eligible. Regionals. So the different thing about UNAA is you can do more than one regional. For WNL, there's just one event, and you have to go to that event, and wherever it is. For UNAA, you can pick which event you want to go to if one's more convenient for your schedule or location-wise. You can also do 2 different regionals. So say you went to one regional, you didn't quite make it, then you go to a second regional, and then you did qualify for Worlds. So it gives you that opportunity. I will say it's a little bit harder to qualify for Worlds from UNAA, because if you look at the rules there, only the top 3 or top 20% from each class advanced to World Finals. Whereas for WNL, they took at least 16, and then usually it's like in the the 30s, 40s number of kids that they take to Worlds at the regional. For UNAA, they're taking only like 3 or 4 athletes from that regional to go to Worlds. So it's a much more that's kind of the bottleneck, is regionals for UNAA. And then if you are fortunate enough to qualify for Worlds, which this year is in Dallas, Texas, then there's 2 rounds. So there's the first round, and then there's the second round, or the main event finals is what they call it. So only the top 15 athletes or top 20% from round 1 advance to the main event final. So that's, again, a very selective and very narrow. Whereas in World Ninja League, 60% of kids from round 1 went to round 2. Here, only the top 15 or top 20% will get to go to that final round. And in round 2, again, winners typically are the top 3 to clear the course. So, the three people that hit the buzzer the fastest. Even though it's points based, usually the top winners, people they do clear the course, and so it does come down to how fast they finish the course. Just in the past, unless they make the course really really hard, but usually the courses are able to be completed by the best athletes. Now, like I mentioned before, UNAA Worlds, that's not the only league that's there. So if you decide to add on FINA, then you get to do all those FINA's runs additionally. So that really starts to add up. So you get to do a lot of Ninja. You get, when you're at Worlds, you're at least doing 3 runs if you combine the two, and then up to 7 runs. If you only did UNAA, you would only have 1 run guaranteed at Worlds, and you have to do really, really well on that run to get that second run. So I would recommend, if you're going to do UNAA Worlds, that you also do FINA Worlds just to get more out of your trip. I don't yet know if U.S. Nationals will be a part of it, but if it is, I highly recommend doing that because you get lots of runs with U.S. Nationals, and it's just really fun. You can also add on WNAG and OCR if those things are interesting to you. I did not do those. I think that would have been a lot of Ninja. So I think 3 things felt about right to me, but some people did all 5. So you could totally do that. And the only bummer for me was that there's no quote-unquote world's strongest Ninja. They don't combine your UNAA score and your FINA score and your U.S. National score to kind of. I thought that would have been a really good measure of who was the best there at that weekend, but they're just not yet coordinated enough to combine those scores and to really see who is the best of the best. But it was still a really fun event. So again, if you're planning to go to FINA/UNAA Worlds, I recommend doing both. And so here are the rules for qualifying for FINA Worlds, which again, it's a whole separate league. And there's different rules. It's a kind of a different format for the competition. So at a FINA qualifier event, the cool thing is that you get to do 3 runs. So most qualifying events, you only get 1 run. And so you show up and at the competition, you exercise for 3 minutes and you're done. But at a FINA, you get to do 2 speed runs and an endurance run. So it's a much longer qualifier event. You're there longer, but you get a lot for your money and for the experience. So you get 2 speed runs and 1 endurance run. To qualify for the speed sectional, which is their word for regionals, sorry for all the verbiage, but to qualify for that next level, whatever you want to call it, you have to clear the speed course. That means have no fails in the time limit, or clear a total of 21 speed obstacles during the speed course season. So if you do 3 FINA qualifiers and don't clear any of the courses, but you are able through those 3 competitions to clear a total of 21 of those speed obstacles, then you will still qualify for the speed sectional. Or if, say it's just a really hard speed course and nobody finishes it, but you are in the top 3 in that speed qualifier, then you also qualify for the sectional. Endurance has similar rules. So if you clear the endurance course with no fails, you automatically qualify for the sectional, no matter if you're 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or 5th, or 6th. If you clear, you still qualify. If you clear a total of 25 endurance obstacles during the course of the season, or if you finish in the top 3 at an endurance qualifier, all those will qualify you for an endurance sectional. I want to mention here the age groups again. So these age groups are exactly the same as UNAA. So they have paired up their age groups to be the same. So that's nice. And then moving on to sectionals. So last year I was in Bolingbrook, and again, this is I believe, I have to check the rules of FINA, but I don't know if you can do more than 1 or not, or if you just do 1 sectional. I was fortunate enough that we only had to do 1 sectional. I don't know the exact rules, but again, it is also a very selective sectional. So this is the bottleneck. So only the top finishers from endurance and speed will qualify for Worlds, and I think it was only the top 4 at the sectional that moved on. Granted, a lot less people around here last year did UNAA and FINA, so it wasn't that scary because they didn't have a ton of competitors at these events. However, as this league grows, I think it's gonna matter, and that's gonna be your bottleneck, and that's what's gonna they're going to be pretty competitive sectionals. I'll leave it at that. Now, if you're fortunate enough to qualify for Worlds, which this year will be in Dallas, what's cool this year is it's different. So last year you would do this cool tournament, you'd do speed and endurance, and it was awesome. But the only thing at the Worlds at FINA was side by side racing, which really wasn't what you were doing all season long with these qualifiers. But this year, you get to do 3 separate tournaments, which is cool. So you automatically get, I believe, 3 runs. You get a speed run on a speed course. You get an endurance run on an endurance course. And then there's also going to be this head-to-head racing round of champions as well. And so there's going to be, similarly to WNL, there will be a winner for each of those tournaments and then an overall combined grand champion for FINA. I don't think they're going to combine it with UNAA, but at least for FINA, there'll be a grand champion that kind of tests all the different disciplines. Now, this format is new this year, and so I don't know exactly how it's going to look and how they're going to pull it off, but if they do, it will be very cool and very awesome. I want to talk briefly about cost. So you're already probably doing classes and elite team, and then this is just on top of that. I think comparatively, though, to other kids who play competitive sports, Ninja is actually very affordable. There's no equipment and other than shoes. And so these one-time costs for these qualifiers, it's usually about $75 to $100 for the qualifying competitions. And then as you get into regionals, it's a little bit more expensive because those are a little bit harder to run and pull off. And then World Championships is a slightly more expensive on top of that. But the main cost when you're talking about World Championships is in the travel and the hotel and the plane. So these, the cost to sign up is really not much compared to the cost of if you're going to go to Worlds, the lodging and the travel. I would just want to throw in there for people who, this is a lot of money we're throwing around and stuff like that. But again, if you just want to do a competition and try it out for free, just to see if it's something you like, consider this summer Ninjathon, which will be this summer. I don't know exactly where it's going to be yet, but I promise that I will do it, so you can have something to do this summer if you want to just try Ninja out for free. Now I'll take you through how to sign up for these competitions and some of just how these websites look and how to navigate them. For World Ninja League, you'll search World Ninja League and click to the website. Then up in the right hand corner, you go to Compete and Tier 1. All of our competitions will be Tier 1. Don't worry about Tier 2. And then you will have to go to our region. So you gotta click the regions, and we are US North Central region. So right now you only see there's 2 scheduled in Minnesota, but eventually there will be more in Chicago. You just gotta wait. And once you know where the competition will be, you just go to the website for that gym, and then you can sign up for the competition at the gym's website. This is also where you can see results. So if we go to our region, you can see last season all the competitions we had in our region. And I just wanted to show you for the regional, you see there was 2 scores, one for the speed course and one for the endurance course, and then those combined scores determined who was in the top. And you can see for World Ninja League, lots of kids, pretty much everybody that competed qualified. They took a bunch of kids from regionals onto Worlds, and so that's good. Another kind of cool feature, if you're a stats person, if you go to stats on the website, then you can go to power rankings, and once you do, I think, 5 competitions, then you will get a power ranking, and basically that's an average of all your scores so far, and so each age division has a power ranking, and so you can kind of just see where you stack up nationally. It's a better estimate of how you're doing, and you can see some kids on the East Coast are doing 30, 40, 50 competitions a year, which is crazy, but some kids do it. And just to be clear, you do not need to do that many competitions to be good at Ninja. My family does much less than that, and we're pretty good. So you do not need to be doing this many competitions to be at the top level. For UNAA, you just Google UNAA Ninja and click on their site. And they don't have as many cool stats and stuff, but they do have the schedule up for this next season. So if you go schedule, then you can see all the season 10 things that are scheduled so far. And look at that, Big Time Ninja already has one. And theirs is nice. You just click on the gym name and it'll take you right to their site so you can sign up. I don't even know if Big Time Ninja's sign up is up yet, but that one's October 12th. So you can check that out. There's also ones in Wisconsin. You can kind of see where all the competitions are for this season so far. There will be more added, I'm sure. For FINA, they also are not quite there yet with their schedule for season 6. I would check back in about a month or two just to see if they've updated anything. But again, not as many stats. There's still some, but this is last season's results and competitions. And I think we only had one qualifier last year at Big Time in Bolingbrook. Hopefully there'll be more this year. Usually the week of the competition, you'll get an email from the manager who's running the gym and running the competition saying, we're excited to have you out, and we will release the rules video and the run order the night before the competition. And please do not expect that to be coming out like at 7 p.m. It is a ton of work for these people to set up these competitions, and usually they're setting these up late into the night. Usually the videos are not done until midnight or 1 a.m. And so just plan on watching it the morning of the competition would be my best advice. Same thing with the run order. You're probably not going to know exactly when you're running until the morning of, just because they have to wait for everybody to sign up. A lot of people sign up last minute. I would recommend signing up as early as possible once you're deciding to do a competition. It helps them immensely with planning. So as soon as you decide you want to do the competition, sign up. You can always cancel later, but it helps them just figure out how many people are coming and how to plan. I highly recommend watching the rules video with your child. It will definitely help them do better watching it a few times. If you have a younger child and you're running really early, just have some breakfast with them and watch the video. Then you'll head to the gym, and then you'll check in, and once everybody's there, we'll do something called walkthrough. So that means you get to look at the obstacles, and they go over any rule changes from the video. Usually things haven't changed too much, but sometimes they do. So there might be rules. This is your chance to answer questions, and then it's also just your chance to see the obstacles up close. You can't touch any of the obstacles. If you touch them, you get disqualified, but you can at least look at them up close before you have to do the course. Then they'll proceed through the run order, and you get your turn to run the course. That's the super fun part, obviously. And then if there is something you think that one of the judges got wrong, then you can have it challenged. Personally, this is a personal preference. It's not a rule, but for my athletes and for my kids, I only challenge things about their own runs. I don't. If I see something else on somebody else's run or somebody else's athlete, I might mention it to their coach or to that athlete, but I don't go to the judge and challenge somebody else's run. Again, it's a kids tournament. It's all us versus the course. We want somebody to beat the course. It's not, in my opinion, a place for doing something like that, but it's totally up to you. And I'll also just mention that, if you get to the World Championships, that's a different story. Okay, I've had myself personally challenged, and I've had a first place finish taken away, and it hurts, but it was the right call, and that was at a World Championship. So that's different, but at a qualifier or, I think just obviously you can challenge your own athletes' runs, but otherwise try to leave it up to the judges. They'll do the best they can. Then once all runs are finished and challenges are done, then it's time for podium. And I do think it's important that we recognize excellence. I know, first of all, all the kids are winners for coming and just trying these things. It is a very hard thing to do, especially at a young age. But I do think if you can and have the time, it's important to show your kids to recognize excellence. The kids who made the podium clearly put in a lot of hard work. And so I think they deserve to be recognized. And then, man, it is the absolute best when somebody makes podium that usually doesn't. I can tell you from firsthand experience, when I I got a third place medal in the elite category. It was the best, because I never get medals when I compete in elite, and I think it's just so awesome to have people there cheering you on when it's maybe your first time on the podium. So please stay for podium. Another thing to quickly mention, World Ninja League has a rule that to be on the floor with your athlete, you have to have a coaching certification. This is for safety more than anything else. And so to do that, to get this coaching band, you need to take a course and get a background check. And I'll show you where to go on their website to do this. But I do recommend it if you are planning on going to Worlds. I would say for qualifiers and for regionals, your local coaches and other parents that have done this for a long time can usually handle being with them, or being available to run the course with them and coach them. But once you get to Worlds, it's hard to predict exactly what coaches are going to be there, what parents are going to be there. So if you are worried that you're going to get to the end of the season and your child doesn't want to be in the situation where they're going to be running the course by themselves without somebody right next to them, then I would go ahead and spend the $85. And it takes a little bit of time to go through all the modules, but it's worth it for that peace of mind. If you're probably not going to Worlds, then we're happy to coach your kids through qualifiers and regionals. I think we should have enough coaches and parents to do that without issue. UNAA and FINA allow a parent to come on the course with them at Worlds. I'll just let you know, at Big Time Ninja, where many of our events are held for the qualifiers, Ethan usually does not let the parents out of a coaching box, so you cannot go out on the course, but you can be pretty close. To sign up for coaching certification, go to Community and then Coaching Certification, and at the bottom there'll be a button to click here to purchase, and then it'll take you through the steps. So after all this, how do I choose what, if I want to compete, but there's so many options. So this is all personal opinion, but a couple recommendations. So if you have a really young athlete, so last year my youngest daughter was 6, and I just didn't feel comfortable. We did qualifiers for WNL, but I didn't feel comfortable having her go to Worlds and compete against 8-year-olds at Worlds. I didn't think it was fair to her. I also wanted to try UNAA and FINA, and it was a great experience for her. Specifically, she had a great season, even though she was 6 and competing against 7-year-olds. It was totally fine. And so if you have a really young athlete, I would recommend UNAA or FINA, also because those are points based, and so it's a little easier when they fall. My 6-year-old still bawled her eyes out when she didn't have a full clear on a course, but it just makes it a little bit easier when they fall. If you have 1 to 2 years of ninja experience and you really want to go to a Worlds this year, in my opinion, just with the way the bottlenecking is set up, I would recommend WNL, just because it is hard to get to Worlds for UNAA and FINA. If you think about it, there's less parity in UNAA and FINA. If you're really good, if there's 5 kids that are really good in your age division, those 5 kids are probably going to be on every podium at UNAA and FINA, because they're only probably going to miss 1 or 0 points on each course. Whereas at WNL, they take more people to Worlds, and there's just more parity. Even though those 5 ninjas that are really good in your age division, they can fall early, and then that opens the door for you to get on the podium. So there's just a lot more, I'll call it podium parity, in World Ninja League than there is in UNAA and FINA. And then everyone else, so if you've been doing ninja for a while and you don't, maybe don't care if you go to Worlds or not, I would just do it based on experience and what you like to do. Like, what kind of ninja do you like? Do you like points based? Do you like racing? Do you like, fall and you're done, kind of that pressure? I'll say World Ninja League, just with their stats and everything, is a little bit more organized. UNAA and FINA have more of a homegrown feel, and there's just a lot more variability in the types of obstacles and courses you're going to see at Worlds specifically. WNL puts on a really beautiful Worlds. Like, that thing is live streamed and you can watch it from home, and all the obstacles are beautiful when you go to Worlds. UNAA FINA, like, kind of just depends on what gym is hosting your course. They don't always have a live stream. So it's just a different experience, and so you kind of just have to try them out. I think if you haven't tried one before, I think it's worth trying the other one just to see if you like it. And you can do it based on your age too. So like if you want to be at the top of your age bracket, I totally get that. I think that's reasonable. Give yourself the best chance to win. But I would say as you get older, that matters much less. So once you get out of that sort of kids division, the age groupings don't really matter as much. So don't make your decision based just on that. Home stretch here, last two slides, really important slides though. So why even do this at all? First of all, your kids have probably made friends through the elite team and through just practicing. Those friendships only bond more when you go to compete. And I will say the number one thing that my kids ask me when I sign up for a competition is who else is going to be there? Who else from my team is going to be there to support me? And it's so important. Like once I tell them, oh, your friend, this person's also going to be there in your wave, it takes all the pressure away and all the stress off. And there's like, oh, thank goodness they're going to be here as well. That's all they want. I mean, yes, they want you there, but they really want their friends there to cheer them on. So the more of us that can sign up, it just helps make this so much more fun and better for them. Secondly, the coolest obstacles are at the competitions. Like by far, the builders build for the competitions. So if you want cool obstacles, if you love cool obstacles, do competitions. And lastly, as a parent, I will say I have just seen the growth in my kids, and I mean maybe they would have grown just as much just doing ninja in practice, but failing and losing and then winning and like overcoming these different things, it's amazing to see the growth. And so I love ninja for that reason, for my own personal experience as well. Just the stuff I've been through in my career, it just builds character. It does. Overcoming these obstacles and doing it together. Again, it's you versus the course, but you do it with your friends, and the support you get, it's amazing. Last slide, this is your ninja history lesson. So these people, without them, there is no competitive ninja in Chicago. So if you meet any of these people, please thank them. I believe this is my understanding of the whole way it worked. So this all started with Ethan Swanson. He came here, he opened the original Ultimate Ninja Chicago, or was the manager there, and that gym has since burned down. But Ethan really recruited all these other amazing people. So Ethan now has Big Time Ninja in Bolingbrook, that's his gym. He recruited Chris and Jesse to come out to Chicago. Chris now also works with Ethan at Big Time Ninja. They are the creators of Ninja Sport Network, so we only have professional ninja because of Ethan and Chris. So please thank them for having that as even a thing in the world. Jessie, you probably know, she is the GOAT of women's ninja, greatest of all time, and she is the manager at Ultimate Ninjas Naperville. If there's ever a competition there at Naperville, she will be the reason for it. She also, I think, really showed us how to have an elite team and how to coach an elite team. So I always want to thank Jessie for that. In addition, Mike Salenzi was also brought in early on as a gym manager he was at Libertyville originally. I can't thank Mike enough. He's the entire reason I'm a ninja. I wouldn't be a ninja without Mike Salenzi, and so I thank him from the bottom of my heart for everything. He now opened an awesome gym up at Oak Creek, and his team, you'll see a lot of the top ninjas in the world are his students right now, and so he's an amazing coach and amazing person. And then on the bottom here, now at Libertyville, the manager is Danny O'Donnell, an amazing builder and an amazing person. And so if we have any competitions at Libertyville, it would be because of Danny. Josh, who I work with very closely now, I coach with him at North Shore, and an amazing guy, and I can't wait to continue coaching and learning with Josh. And then you may not know DWAM at Ultimate Ninjas Chicago if you haven't been there, but a long-time ninja from the TV show, and just an awesome person, great builder as well. And so if there's ever any competitions in Chicago, at the Chicago location, it will be because of DWAM and his team. So thank you to all these people, and please, when you see them, thank them. They put in a tremendous amount of work. They've dedicated their lives to this sport, and I can't thank them enough. So I hope when you see them, give them a big, big thank you.